Okay, so the story kicks off with the classic setup. In ancient times, humans and monsters were locked in an endless war. 1,000 years ago, a legendary king stepped up, wielding the mysterious power of marks to fight back. He sealed away the big bad ancestor of all monsters, but the battle to keep that seal intact has been raging ever since. On his deathbed, the king passed these monster-slaying powers down to 5 great families. This created a whole new social order based on your mark level. 1 is elite, 9 is basically worthless. Flash forward to the present and we are in a totally normal-looking city at sunset. Here we meet our boy, a convenience store clerk, cheerfully welcoming a couple of customers. One of the customers, a real charmer, immediately starts trash-talking low-marked people while demanding some smokes. But when our guy asks for payment, the jerk gets offended. How dare a 1 mark ask him for money? Just then, the store manager walks over and it looks like he knows the angry customer. This guy then demands the manager fire our MC for the absolute crime of doing his job. So it is off to the changing room for a very awkward conversation. This manager, brother Sun, is super apologetic, but our MC Zio Chi just quits to avoid making trouble. Brother Sun laments that it is always the same, the high-marked people do not see them as human. Zio Chi tells him not to feel guilty, takes his final pay and says his goodbyes. And with that, our newly unemployed hero walks out of the store with a determined look. Someone in school shoes is waiting for him just outside the door. It is his sister who greets her big brother with a happy smile. She is excited about earning money, but he tells her to focus on her health, he will be the breadwinner. This two of them then walk off together, a small family unit in a world that is clearly not on their side. Zio Chi offers to buy his sister ice cream, but she is worried about her delicate health. He insists a little treat will not hurt, charmingly ordering a strawberry cone for her anyway. She playfully offers him a bite and they share a cute moment, both denying they are still kids. While she enjoys her ice cream, he gently reminds her they still need to discuss him getting fired. But their walk home is cut short by a sudden, terrifying rumble that echoes through the city streets. A massive monster crashes down from above, making everyone question how protected this zone actually is. Without hesitation, Zio Chi grabs his sister and tells her to run for the Zhang family shelter. This stress is too much for her weak constitution and she starts coughing, struggling to breathe. So he just scoops her up over his shoulder and keeps running, no time for a dramatic collapse. He cannot shake the feeling that something is deeply wrong. Monsters are not supposed to breach these walls. This horrifying beast is right on their tail, towering over the crowd of fleeing citizens. His only priority is getting his sister to the shelter, pushing through the absolute chaos. They finally make it to the estate, only to find a massive, panicked crowd bottlenecked at the gate. Zio Chi spots a neighbor and asks why nobody is being let inside the supposed safe zone. At that moment, a smug-looking official flanked by guards steps forward to address the desperate mob. He announces the shelter has limited capacity, so anyone below 3 marks is officially monster bait. This crowd absolutely loses it, surging forward in a desperate stampede to save themselves. Trying to be the voice of reason, Zio Chi warns the guard that a mob will just attract the monster faster. This guard scoffs at his 1-mark status, accusing him of trying to drag everyone down with him. And just like that, the terrified crowd turns on Zio Chi, blaming him for wanting to survive. This crowd immediately turns on itself, with the 3 marks demanding priority entry because of course they do. While the desperate citizens are at each other's throats, the officials just watch from above, enjoying the show. Fed up with the nonsense, Zio Chi yells that he will be the bait if they just let everyone else inside. This sudden act of self-sacrifice completely catches the smug official off guard. Heroism was not on his bingo card. He quickly asks a trusted neighbor to watch his sister, promising he will be right back from his monster kiting trip. Turning back to the guards, he demands they open the gates now that he has offered up his life. Zio Chi calls out the official for clearly planning to let them all die, putting him on the spot. Under pressure from the entire crowd, the guy finally caves and orders the gates open for the citizens. As our boy walks away, the official gives him a look that says you are dead, a promise not a threat. This massive door slams shut, leaving Zio Chi all alone to face the music outside. And speak of the devil, the giant spider monster comes leaping over the rooftops, right on schedule. Zio Chi spots the beast, steeling himself for the absolutely insane confrontation he just signed up for. He then proceeds to taunt the city-destroying behemoth, a solid plan with absolutely no flaws whatsoever. This monster immediately takes the bait, its many red eyes locking onto its new favorite snack. Now running for his life, Zio Chi starts thinking this whole monster attack feels a little too convenient. A painful flashback reveals him and his sister being thrown out as kids for their worthless low marks. His resolve hardens. He will do anything to protect his sister from a world that sees them as trash. This kid leads the monster on a frantic chase through the empty city streets, dodging and weaving. Gasping for breath, he wonders where the hell the so-called protectors of the city actually are. This monster looms over him, but he analyzes its form, realizing it is a wolf spider that hunts by vibration. Right on cue, the giant spider monster brings its massive claw down for the kill shot. But out of nowhere, a massive bolt of blue lightning slams into the beast, stopping it cold. Standing between him and certain death is a horned warrior girl, casually blocking the attack. This elite-looking fighter gives the monster a death glare, crackling with some serious blue energy. And she stares down the roaring behemoth, completely unfazed by its city block-sized tantrum. From her weapon, she summons a massive, crackling spirit dragon made of pure blue energy, an absolute unit of a spectral beast that coils around her, ready to throw down. At her command, the massive energy construct lunges forward to bite the spider's face off, sinking its teeth right into the spider's carapace and wrapping it in a lightning death hug. This whole thing goes up in a massive explosion of blue energy, seemingly obliterating the monster. Zio Chi just watches the smoke clear, probably wondering what just happened to his quiet life. His savior lands in front of him with a casual hello, as if summoning a kaiju fighting dragon is just a Tuesday. She then checks him over, asking if he is hurt with the calmest demeanor imaginable. Zio Chi immediately recognizes her as a six-mark elite from the Zhang family, stammering that he is fine. Just as he says that, a sharp pain lances through his head and he nearly collapses. Of course, the monster is not dead yet, bursting from the rubble for round 2. This girl's not even surprised, just annoyed, vowing to kill it again for being so inconveniently alive. When she glances back to check on the damsel in distress, Zio Chi is just gone. This momentary distraction is all the spider needs to blindside her, sending her flying through the air. Its legs smashing down with incredible force, shattering the ground where she stood a second ago. Suddenly, Zio Chi is back on the scene, rushing to check on the elite warrior he just abandoned. From the dust cloud, the spider monster emerges, looking even more pissed off than before. This warrior realizes the monster did not just revive, it leveled up, and now she has to warn everyone. Her tactical brain kicks in, running alone gets them both killed, but a sacrifice play might just work. So she shoves the intel at Zio Chi, ordering him to escape and warn Command about the rank up. When he hesitates, she pulls rank, insisting her job as a six-mark is to hold the line no matter what. Meanwhile, the upgraded spider monster is done waiting and roars with pure unadulterated rage. At that exact moment, a strange mark on Zio Chi's neck begins to activate. An agonizing pain rips through his head, making him cry out as the warrior looks on, confused. Before she can help, a massive shockwave of energy erupts from him, blasting her backwards. She reaches out, trying to stop whatever's happening, but he is already out of her grasp. But then he grabs her wrist, his grip surprisingly strong, stopping her cold. Turning back, she is completely shocked by the sudden change in this supposed one-mark weakling, because our boy is now engulfed in a swirling vortex of golden energy, looking like a totally different person. This power is raw and untamed, coalescing into a blindingly bright core of pure light. It then compresses into a single point of overwhelming power, ready to be unleashed. With a deafening roar, the energy beam shoots past the monster, slamming into a distant skyscraper. His entire body begins to transform, horns sprouting, hair glowing, and his arm covered in golden scales. This transformation completes, leaving him in some kind of regal battle armor, completely baffled by his own glow-up. Now floating in midair, this newly powered-up convenience store clerk faces down the city-destroying behemoth. Zio Chi stands there, fully transformed and looking like he actually belongs in this fight. Then he summons his own massive golden dragon, because if you are gonna copy, copy big. A tiny version of the warrior girl pops up, explaining they have fused and he is now her power on steroids. He decides to just roll with it, kill the monster now, have an existential crisis later. With a single dramatic gesture, he prepares to unleash the full might of his borrowed power. From the sky, he calls down a literal storm of golden swords, aiming to turn this spider into a pincushion. Our boy guides the barrage with a wave of his hand, looking way too calm for a guy who was a clerk an hour ago. This rain of holy-looking blades slams into the monster, pinning it down completely. His new spirit guide immediately declares victory, which is always a fantastic sign. And yup, the spider is still kicking, now decorated with glowing crosses and looking absolutely furious. So Zio Chi decides to get personal, charging up a fist that is glowing with "you are done" energy. His punch connects with the force of a small nuke, engulfing the monster's head in a massive explosion. This blast rips through the street, leaving nothing but a cloud of smoke and destruction. This time, the monster's corpse lies smoking on the ground, looking convincingly defeated. He is not sure if it is really over, and his spirit buddy tells him to check it out carefully. So he walks up to the giant dead bug, probably feeling like the baddest man on the planet. But just as he gets close, his golden aura starts to flicker and die out. This fusion suddenly breaks, separating him from the warrior girl as the power vanishes completely. Zio Chi's face is pure panic as he realizes he is very, very high up with no powers. And with that, our hero plummets out of the sky like a rock. Talk about a power trip ending badly. As he plummets towards the ground, our boy reaches out in a last-ditch panic, and the elite warrior swoops in to catch him bridal style, because of course she does. She touches down gracefully in the middle of the wrecked street, still carrying him. This leads to a super awkward moment, with her blushing and him just staring blankly. Finally on his own 2 feet, Zio Chi gives a goofy thank you, completely oblivious. But she just smiles, insisting she is the one who should be thanking him for his help. Just then, some of her subordinates rush over, addressing her as young miss. Waving them off, she tells them to get back to the rescue mission like a total boss. When Zio Chi tries to slip away, she quickly grabs his arm to stop him, assuring him his sister is safe but that they really need to have a little chat. She gets right to it, asking how a one-mark nobody managed to fuse with her powers, and our boy just stammers, having absolutely no clue what just happened either. Finding his cluelessness kinda cute, she hands him a business card for future collaborations. Zio Chi's first thought is that he is about to be dissected in a lab, a totally normal reaction. She laughs, calling him too valuable for that, which he points out sounds super creepy. Changing her tune, she looks him dead in the eye and promises to protect him. Their moment is cut short when her subordinate returns, saying the master is looking for her. Annoyed, she takes a call, quickly telling someone on the other end that everything's fine. But once she is off the phone, her guard sneers at Zio-Chi, calling him low-mark trash. This young miss immediately shuts that down, giving her subordinate a look that could freeze hell. This young miss immediately fires her subordinate for the disrespect, leaving the guy utterly speechless. Zio-Chi just shrugs, casually saying he is used to being treated like dirt. As a token of her gratitude, she offers him a very expensive-looking gold card. She insists he take it, explaining he did not just save her, he saved everyone on the street. Our boy stares at the card, probably trying to calculate how many strings are attached. He eventually pockets the mysterious reward, deciding to deal with the consequences later. With a quick and awkward goodbye, he tries to dip out of there as fast as possible. But the warrior girl watches him go, her eyes glowing with a sudden, intense realization. She is convinced this kid is the key to breaking some kind of mysterious, world-ending cycle. Meanwhile, Zio-Chi is already back home, immediately checking on his sick sister. She tries to play it tough through a cough, but he is already tending to her fever. He gently reassures her, guessing the whole giant spider apocalypse might have been a bit stressful. His sister then leaps out of bed for a hug, with their kindly neighbor smiling in the background. Outside, the entire neighborhood is cheering for him, calling him the hero who saved them all. Even that snobby guard is on his knees, begging for forgiveness and admitting he was the real trash. Zio-Chi just watches him get dragged away with a completely deadpan expression, no sympathy here. Back inside, his sister confesses she feels like a burden, but he quickly tells her that is not true. He holds her hand, reminding her that family does not talk about each other like that. And then he cheekily requests her famous pork rib soup once she is feeling better. With his sister finally resting, he quietly closes the door, his long day seemingly over. Zio-Chi tells his sister to rest while he answers a knock at the door, and he opens it to find some unexpected guests, cautiously asking what they want. At his door is a whole recruitment committee, a scientist, a traditionalist, and a punk rock girl. Our boy puts on his best customer service smile, trying to figure out what is happening, and he asks the main guy if this is about his little fusion trick with the Zhang family's elite. This guy confirms he is from the Zhang family, but is already scheming to keep Zio-Chi from other families. Before the scientist dude immediately grabs him, calling him a new mutation perfect for research, which is never a good sign. But the purple-haired girl steps in, calling out the scientist for basically wanting to dissect him. And then she makes her own pitch for the Shen family, getting way too close for comfort. Meanwhile, the peanut gallery is whispering about how this one-mark loser got so lucky, with some real classy theories. Zio-Chi's friendly mask drops, replaced by a stone-cold glare. He has heard it all before. His mind flashes back to all the times he's been called trash and scum by these kinds of people. With a sudden burst of confidence, he tells the recruiters he will consider all their offers one by one. A predatory grin spreading across his face as he promises to choose the best option for himself. This sudden backbone completely throws them off, with the Shen girl looking particularly insulted. Zio-Chi then whips out the gold card, reminding them who is actually begging for who here, and he formally accepts the Zhang family's offer since their young miss was the one who invited him personally. But he lays down his first condition: his sister is sick and she is his top priority. This Zhang rep eagerly agrees, offering a private hospital while the competition fumes in the background. As the door shuts, the recruiters finally get it: this kid is not some pushover they can bully anymore. Zio-Chi checks in on his sister, who is finally awake and looking a little confused. He just gives her a calm smile, telling her that everything is totally under control. But outside, a creepy-ass crow with glowing red eyes is spying on their every move. Meanwhile, we cut to the ridiculously lavish Zhang family estate at night, and inside it is a full-blown high society party packed with snooty-looking guests. This Zhang family butler leads Zio-Chi through the crowd, with our boy looking way out of his element. And of course, the peanut gallery immediately starts whispering about the one-mark trash in their midst. Our boy just keeps walking, completely ignoring the haters like a pro. Until some blonde pretty boy in a suit decides to block their path, who then proceeds to loudly question why such a low-rank commoner was even let inside. This butler tries to smooth things over, explaining Zio-Chi is an honored guest. But this young Master Kui is not having it, doubling down on calling him trash. He even waves off the butler's attempts to de-escalate the situation, and then pours an entire glass of wine over Zio-Chi's head just to be a dick. Soaked and pissed, Zio-Chi's friendly demeanor vanishes, replaced by a stone-cold warning. Q just powers up his aura, smugly declaring our boy is about to die. But Zio-Chi moves first, grabbing the guy's face before he can even blink. This rich kid hits the floor, completely baffled as to why his powers suddenly will not activate, letting Zio-Chi plant his foot firmly on the guy's chest. And now he is demanding an apology, while the bully can only stammer in disbelief. Zio-Chi leans in, calmly repeating his demand for an apology because manners are important, and he applies a little more pressure just to make sure his point gets across, which immediately turns the big tough guy into a blubbering mess, screaming sorry for his life. Our boy has a revelation: take away their powers, and these high marks are nothing special at all. But Kui gets back up, glowing with rage and promising Zio-Chi is finished. Talk about a sore loser. Zio-Chi just smirks, completely unfazed by the dramatic light show. As this rich kid goes full-on power-up mode, complete with a weird half-mask and a lot of angry shouting, it finally clicks for our boy that the red glow is the sign of a transformation. With a creepy grin, Kiwi promises to beat him to death, a totally proportional response to being embarrassed. Then he summons a swirling vortex of pure evil because subtlety is for poor people. From the portal emerges a giant demonic wolf, ready to turn this fancy party into a buffet. And the massive beast lunges straight for Xiao Qi, who is suddenly looking a little out of his depth. All the party guests start freaking out, wondering how a monster got past the velvet rope, while Xiao Qi's cool demeanor finally cracks, realizing he might have poked the wrong trust fund bear. This butler grabs him, trying to drag him out of there before he becomes an appetizer. But our boy asks the million-dollar question: why are not any of these other elites helping? His guide explains that having power and knowing how to use it are two very different things, followed by a quick lesson that you actually have to train to be strong. Who knew? This butler laments that most nobles are too lazy for that, unlike their own battle-hardened young miss. And as they try to escape, they see the monster has already claimed its first victim among the guests. This demonic wolf lunges down, ready to turn Xiao Qi and the butler into a two-course meal. And our boy's brain just short-circuits with a very eloquent "oh no." But just as it is about to strike, something smacks the beast right in the face, revealing a pink-haired girl in a frilly dress delivering a brutal flying kick. She lands in front of Xiao Qi, scolding the giant hellhound like a misbehaving puppy, which only seems to make the monster angrier, growling in the middle of the ballroom. Without even looking back, she tells our boy to run for it while she handles this. And as she turns, her image flickers with a ghost from his past, sending Xiao Qi into a state of total shock as he suddenly recognizes her. His mind flashes back to a dark alley where he once protected this same girl from thugs. But back in the present, the demonic wolf is done playing games and roars for blood, launching itself straight at the girl who dared to kick it in the snoot. In response, she summons a ridiculously oversized high-tech battle axe, because of course she does, then leaps into the air to meet the monster's charge with some serious style. This wolf counters by unleashing a massive sonic blast right from its throat, which hits her dead on, sending her flying backwards through the air. And Xiao Qi can only watch in horror as she plummets towards the ground. This impact creates a huge explosion of dust and debris across the floor. But our boy managed to dive in and catch her at the last second. He holds her close, asking if she is okay, his own safety completely forgotten. This pink-haired girl is blushing hard in his arms, while Xiao Qi just looks confused by the whole situation. Before they can process that, the main demonic wolf is back and it brought the whole family. This entire pack of hellhounds lunges forward in a terrifying, snarling wave. All the fancy party guests are now screaming for their lives as the monsters attack, so much for high society. But the girl's eyes narrow with fierce determination, not a hint of fear in sight. Our boy tries to shove her to safety, yelling for her to get out of there. Instead, she grabs his hand and their touch unleashes a blinding flash of purple energy. This power erupts outwards in glowing rings, slamming right into the charging wolf pack. And the demonic beasts are just instantly vaporized into chunks. Problem solved, right? This big alpha wolf just stares down at the source of the blast, completely unfazed. And where the girl stood is now a pink-haired guy with cat ears complaining about his new color scheme. A little chibi version of the girl pops up, convincing him that a pink axe is perfect for the job. Meanwhile, the alpha wolf just casually reforms its entire pack from puddles of shadow on the floor. In seconds, all the little minions are back on their feet, looking even more pissed off than before. Our new pink-haired fighter realizes the wolf can just absorb and resummon its minions infinitely. Now he is completely surrounded by the respawn pack, stuck in a really bad spot. He decides to just start swinging his giant glowing axe, taking on the nearest beast. But the monster is fast, dodging the swing and leaping straight for his throat. He grits his teeth, knowing this is a battle of attrition he absolutely cannot win. So he launches himself into the air, preparing a massive spinning attack to clear some space. This pink-haired fighter has a quick chat with his inner chibi, who is suddenly very concerned about amusement park rides, and he promises everyone a trip to the park later. Swinging his axe like this is a totally normal conversation to have mid-fight. With that settled, he unleashes a massive pink vortex, turning the entire wolf pack into shredded shadow confetti. But the alpha wolf just gets bigger and angrier, clearly not impressed by the light show. It charges forward with a furious roar, glowing with pure unadulterated rage. This beast lunges, jaws wide open, ready to end this little party crasher for good. But our pink-haired hero's eyes gleam. He has been waiting for this exact moment. Leaping high into the air, he brings the giant axe down for a decisive strike. Their powers collide in a blinding flash of pink and red energy that rocks the entire room, and the axe smashes directly into the monster's skull with incredible force, which does absolutely nothing as the wolf just stands there with a new, very stylish head ornament. Its jaws open impossibly wide, about to swallow our boy in a single, anticlimactic gulp. And then the giant beast just collapses, finally defeated and dissolving into a pile of monster goo. This pink-haired fighter lets out a huge sigh of relief, thinking the nightmare is finally over. Their fusion breaks apart, leaving Xiao Qi and the girl standing separately in the wrecked ballroom. She clenches her fists, trembling with the adrenaline of their hard-fought victory. With a triumphant shout, she runs straight for Xiao Qi, arms wide open for a hug. And she tackles him in a massive victory hug, calling out his name Lei Yuan, But a sudden, ominous sound from above cuts their celebration short, as a new pair of shoes steps onto the scene, hinting that the party is not over yet. And just like that, the battle-hardened young miss of the Zhang family arrives, asking if Xiao Qi is all right. Her tough demeanor immediately melts into a blush when she sees him on the floor with the pink-haired girl. But Pinkhair just waves cheerfully, greeting the newcomer as her little sister Yaoyan. Xiao Qi is just trying to process this sudden, very confusing family reunion. This pink-haired girl happily confirms she is the older one, wrapping an arm around a very flustered Yaoyan. With the situation now slightly less chaotic, Yaoyan apologizes for, the whole Hell Beast incident. She then tells them to follow her to see her father, promising to fill them in on the way. Meanwhile, some new shady guy with a sword watches from the darkness, enjoying the show with a glass of wine. Yaoyan assures Xiao Qi not to worry about the mess since the Zhang family has people for that. She then politely asks all the remaining, very traumatized guests to please leave under escort. Her family promises a full explanation for the incident, a very professional term for a demonic wolf attack. As they walk, she realizes this is the same monster that appeared in the commercial district. Both locations were supposed to be protected by a massive high-tech energy barrier, but that barrier is now visibly shattering, meaning it either failed or was deliberately broken. Xiao Qi wonders aloud if his power was the cause, and she admits it is a definite possibility. His pink-haired companion, Luo Ran, just tells Yaoyan not to worry because she is here to protect her now. This trio finally arrives at a massive set of doors, about to meet the head of the house. Yaoyan announces their arrival to her father, and a single cold command comes from inside: enter. Before they can even move, a teacup comes flying through the door at lethal velocity, which smacks Yaoyan square in the head, a truly warm welcome from dear old dad. Luo Ran steps forward with a smug grin, shielding Yaoyan, who looks absolutely miserable about this reunion. And inside, the family patriarch immediately screams for them to kneel, because hospitality is for the weak. Just as Yaoyan starts to obey, Xiao Qi yanks her back up, refusing to let her kneel. And our boy just stares the old man down, calmly asking if this is his idea of intimidation. This whole group just stands their ground, facing down the furious patriarch in his fancy chair. But the old man growls that this is a private family matter, basically telling Xiao Qi to get lost. Our boy is not backing down though, and he starts to clap right back at the old man, dropping a sick burn about how he never expected a prestigious family to have zero hospitality. With that mic drop, he just turns to leave, trying to drag Yaoyan out of there. But suddenly the old man is screaming that the monsters were only there because of Xiao Qi. Xiao Qi and Luo Ran are already walking out, but Yaoyan is left standing there, completely torn. And now she is trapped alone in the massive room, completely at her father's mercy. Once outside, Luo Ran starts complaining about what a jerk the old man is, while Xiao Qi puts two and two together, realizing Yaoyan and her dad might not have the best relationship. Then Luo Ran just drops a bombshell: the old man literally forced Yaoyan's mother to her death. She explains that to hoard power, some of these noble families force their kids to marry relatives. And our boy looks completely horrified, realizing the awful implication of that little family tradition. Luo Ran confirms it: her mother was forced to marry her cousin and went insane after childbirth. Xiao Qi just stands there, completely floored by this incredibly dark family secret, but Luo Ran just shrugs, saying it is better if Yaoyan tells him the rest of the story herself. Luo Ran immediately tries to recruit him into some S-group with a very trustworthy-looking grin. And Xiao Qi gives her the classic "I will think about it," which is code for absolutely not. So she switches tactics, inviting him to a shady underground auction tonight instead. She dangles a cure for his sister as bait, and our boy instantly agrees to go. He mentions his old insurance salesman's suit, but she is not having it. Time for a shopping spree. Our boy is clearly not used to this level of attention, blushing like crazy. And bam, one fancy suit later, he is looking incredibly sharp in the mirror next to her. Luo Ran's solution is to just buy the entire store, while Xiao Qi's wallet has a panic attack. Just then some new woman shows up, making a snide comment about Luo Ran's boyfriend. She is hanging off some blonde dude who looks like he peaked in high school. Ignoring them completely, Luo Ran just tells the clerk to wrap up all the clothes. This guy then starts mocking her taste in men, trying to assert some kind of dominance. And he is getting seriously ticked off, his face twisting into a full-on rage fest. His girlfriend tries to calm him down, but he is clearly not listening at all. Instead, he just shoves her aside, yelling that this is none of her business, and the dude literally throws her across the room for trying to de-escalate. But out of nowhere, a red-haired girl with some very sharp teeth zips in to catch her. She has got her held tight, preventing a nasty fall with ease. This woman is stunned but okay, thanking her mysterious pointy-toothed savior, and our new arrival just gives this sharp-toothed grin that is both friendly and terrifying. This red-haired rescuer calls the blonde dude out, saying he is just trash who preys on the weak. Of course, his fragile ego cannot handle that, so he throws a punch, screaming about who she is calling trash. But she just sidesteps his clumsy attack and sends him flying with a perfectly placed kick. He hits the floor hard, completely stunned that his big tough guy act just failed so spectacularly. Standing over him, she just calls him a scumbag, a very accurate assessment, all things considered. From the sidelines, Xiao Qi is pretty impressed, thinking this new fighter is actually quite decent. Then a sinister red and black portal rips open right behind her, crackling with dark energy. Our boy's eyes go wide. He recognizes that ominous portal from his previous monster encounters. He immediately lunges forward, yelling at her to watch out for the ambush. Too late, as shadowy tendrils erupt from the void, wrapping around the red-haired girl and trapping her. She struggles against the shadowy limbs, completely caught off guard by this sudden attack. This portal starts dragging her in, and it looks like she is about to be pulled into another dimension. But Zio Chi dives in at the last second, grabbing her foot to stop her from being taken. Meanwhile, the woman who got thrown is just trying to pay for her stuff, completely bewildered by the chaos. This portal's pull is too strong, yanking everyone into the vortex as a new pink-haired girl watches. This new arrival steps forward, revealing she was the one behind the whole portal ambush. With a twisted grin, she waves goodbye to her victims, surrounded by the remnants of her dark magic. This portal snaps shut, leaving the clothing store eerily empty with only a few mannequins as witnesses. On the other side, the woman who got sucked in looks around, completely lost and terrified. Zio Chi gets his bearings, calling out to see if she is alright after that rude interdimensional trip. Zio Chi lands right on top of her, asking if she is okay, while also calling her the pervert. Our red-haired rescuer is pinned down, completely mortified and ready to bite someone's head off. And then he realizes exactly where his hands landed, which is just a fantastic icebreaker. She explodes in a fiery rage, calling him a pervert while he tries to explain they are in mortal danger. Completely ignoring him, her hair bursts into golden flames as she powers up, clearly annoyed by everything. This two of them now face off in this weird, fiery pocket dimension they got yeeted into. With a new toothy mask, she starts yelling for whatever brought them here to show itself or get torched. Zio Chi puts it together, realizing some beast must have trapped them in this special space. Just then, shadowy tendrils start creeping up from the ground right under her feet. His eyes go wide as he screams at her to look out for the attack from below, and he dives forward, tackling her out of the way just in the nick of time. A massive set of shadow spikes erupts from the ground exactly where she was standing. She hits the dirt, completely confused and annoyed by the sudden shove. Turning around, she is about to yell at him for tackling her again, when she sees Zio Chi has been impaled by the spikes, taking the hit for her. Her anger instantly vanishes, replaced by pure, horrified shock at his sacrifice. As he collapses, her flames suddenly surge forward, engulfing his body. This fire burns away the dark magic, causing the shadowy spikes to dissipate into nothing. She is pouring her power into him to save his life while more shadow hands claw from the floor. With a determined look, she clenches her fist, ready to unleash some serious fiery justice. She throws up a massive crystal shield, protecting them from the giant shadow beast's assault. Holding him close, she desperately tries to wake him up from his very heroic, very stupid sacrifice. And Zio Chi just coughs up a nasty amount of black blood, which is never a good sign. He finally opens his eyes, looking completely dazed but somehow still alive. Panicked, she is practically screaming at him not to die on her after that little stunt. And as he fades, his mind flashes back to a different time he got his butt kicked, to a memory of being beaten down by some absolute winners in the pouring rain. This lead bully looms over him, mocking him for whatever he is clutching so tightly, leaving a much younger Zio Chi bruised and broken on the cold, wet pavement. After getting bored, the jerks just walk off, leaving him alone in his misery. He just curls up on the ground, completely defeated and trying to shield his precious cargo. But then a small shadow falls over him, offering a bit of shelter from the downpour. He looks up to see his little sister Xiaolin holding an umbrella for him, and she is just standing there, blushing and worried sick about her big brother. Through all the pain, he manages a smile, wishing her a happy birthday with the cake he protected. Seeing him so hurt just for her, she immediately bursts into tears. But he just tells her not to cry, insisting that he is okay, a classic big brother move. Back in the present, he gently touches the red-haired girl's face, telling her he is really fine. She immediately denies being worried, claiming she was just afraid he'd die, a very believable excuse. With him safe in her arms, her power absolutely explodes into a raging inferno of payback. Her power absolutely detonates, engulfing the entire pocket dimension in a raging inferno. And from the flames emerges Zio Chi, now fused with the red-haired girl into some kind of fire angel. Her Chibai spirit is having a full-blown panic attack while he calmly explains he can just merge with people, and she is furious he did not ask for consent, but he is just like, "You are number 3, we will work out the kinks later." At that moment, the shadow beast's claws finally shatter their protective crystal shield. But fused Zio Chi just tells her they will hash out the HR violations after they survive this. He starts expertly dodging the beast's attacks, much to the fiery girl's absolute fury, effortlessly weaving through a storm of shadowy spears like it is a deadly dance recital. Then he just stops mid-fight, saying there is still an issue to solve, leaving her totally baffled. His first question, why did the monster specifically target her? She, of course, has no idea. His second, why trap them instead of just killing them? She just gets defensive about her strength. Completely ignoring her, he starts gathering a small ball of her fire in his palm, and then just chucks it at the ground, making her wonder if he has completely lost his mind. This monster's shadowy limbs immediately freeze, their attention now locked on the flame, all of them now reaching for that little fireball like it is the last snack in the pantry. He confirms his theory, this creature is completely obsessed with her fire energy, which is exactly why the pink-haired girl's trap worked in the first place. It wants to steal her fire for itself, and he tells her to look up, revealing the true monster hanging from the ceiling, a creepy spider thing with a glowing purple core. This massive, pulsating orb is clearly the beast's heart, and its main course is fire. Okay, so fused Zio Chi just summons this sick-looking bone sword that is glowing with red energy, and he immediately launches himself forward, bringing it down in a massive fiery arc. This entire blade ignites, channeling all of the red-haired girl's power into one big swing. He dives straight for the spider beast's core, ready to end this fight in a single blow. There is a blinding flash of light as the attack makes contact with the giant purple orb, followed by a massive explosion that absolutely rocks the entire pocket dimension. After the dust settles, our boy is just standing there coughing, looking a little worse for wear, and he mutters that he missed, which is a fantastic excuse for blowing up the wrong zip code. Just then, a new silhouette emerges from the shadows, saying she is finally here. It is some kind of moth demon lady who seems way too happy about this reunion. Both Zio Chi and his fiery passenger are completely baffled, asking each other if they know her, while the moth girl gets this terrifyingly obsessive look, begging him to never leave her again. She unleashes a storm of shadowy spider legs, lashing out in a desperate frenzy, but fused Zio Chi just dodges, completely bewildered by this whole Yandir situation. He asks his partner if she noticed what he did, and her Chibai spirit confirms it. As the moth girl keeps screaming about why he will not come to her, looking absolutely unhinged, turns out she's not even talking to him, she's got some other dude in a chokehold. Leaving fused Zio Chi sweating buckets, realizing he just crashed someone else's domestic dispute, he just stands there awkwardly as the real drama unfolds 100 feet away. And the moth girl looks over, genuinely confused, asking if she did something wrong, peak situational awareness. This moth girl whispers she will just have to find a way to bring him over, which sounds super consensual, and she is still screaming, "My lord," at the poor guy she's got in a death grip, completely losing her mind. Meanwhile, fused Zio Chi finds himself facing a massive glowing spiderweb blocking his path. With a determined look, he starts conjuring a massive fire spell, ready to burn it all down. He unleashes a huge pillar of flame, engulfing the entire web in a fiery explosion. This blast tears right through the magical webbing, incinerating everything in its path. After the smoke clears, he is just floating there, having carved a clean path through her trap. His fiery passenger is shocked he can wield her power so well, and he is just looking smug about it. Then he takes it up a notch, summoning a gigantic, majestic fire phoenix behind him. Pointing forward, he sends his new flaming bird straight at the moth demon. This phoenix soars across the dimension, a massive missile of pure fiery justice. This moth girl seems a little surprised by this display, maybe even impressed for a second, but her confidence returns instantly, laughing that such a simple attack will not work on her. She strikes a pose, gathering her dark energy to counter his big flashy move. From the ground, she summons a whole forest of razor-sharp shadow spikes. These spikes surge upwards, forming a massive wall to intercept the incoming phoenix, and her spike shield completely blocks the fire, protecting her from the full force of the blast. Zio Chi realizes his fire attacks are useless, leaving his partner wondering what their next move is. He explains they are in her domain and she has been trying to grab him this whole time. A plan starts to form in his mind. He is going to use her obsession against her. Zio Chi lays out his genius plan. He is gonna play damsel in distress and let her grab him. Then when she is feeling all smug and victorious, he will go for the kill shot. His fiery passenger, however, thinks this plan is a special kind of stupid and way too dangerous. He just calls it a gamble while she starts blaming herself for this whole mess. In a quick flashback, some old dude had warned her that demon beasts were after her specifically. So our boy stands there like a perfect piece of bait, waiting for the trap to spring. Right on cue, her shadowy spider legs come flying straight for him, and they wrap him up tight, just according to his very questionable plan. This moth girl emerges, absolutely thrilled that she has finally caught her lord. She gets real close, telling him to just be a good boy and come with her, not at all terrifying. With him completely ensnared, she gloats about how long she has been searching for him. But that is his cue to summon that fiery bone sword, ready to turn the tables. He unleashes a massive fiery slash, shattering her restraints and aiming right for her. With a look of pure focus, he brings all of that borrowed power down on her head. But she manages to block his flaming sword with one of her own limbs, stopping the attack cold. This completely shocks her, and she just stares, wondering why her lord would ever attack her. Suddenly, his eye flashes, and we are pulled into some kind of memory, where we see the moth girl in a different life happily serving tea to her master. Her lord suddenly collapses, and she panics, rushing to his side to see what is wrong. Then some other guy just boots her in the face, calling her a puppet that grew a conscience. In the vision, some jerk stands over the fallen moth girl, calling her a puppet that grew a conscience. Snapping back to the present, fused Zio Chi is still holding her on his sword, completely baffled by the memory, and his fiery passenger is just as lost, asking if he actually knows this obsessive moth lady. With a blade through her chest, the moth girl calmly admits she might have overstepped, a master of understatement. She welcomes the flames to purify her sins as the fiery girl's Chibai spirit screams that the dimension is collapsing. As the entire pocket dimension shatters around him, our boy just floats there, taking in the chaos. Then suddenly they are all back in the real world, the fusion undone, with Zio Chi on the floor looking dazed. This red-haired girl helps him up, gushing about how amazing he was with a very toothy grin. He looks down to find he is holding a tiny wooden carving of the moth girl, a lovely parting gift. This pink-haired girl immediately recognizes the doll, identifying it as a mark attendant. Zio-Chi asks about the patterns on it, and the little wooden thing begins to glow ominously. It then springs to life, striking a glorious T-pose like it is asserting dominance over the entire room. Our boy is just stunned that the toy is actually alive, poking its little face in disbelief. This pink-haired girl, our resident expert, clarifies that it is an attendant from the royal guard. She explains they are basically magical puppets created to serve nobles with special insignias. There are service types who are essentially fancy butlers and maids for the elite. And then you have got the guardian types who come with their own squad of armored bodyguards. So she asks him what kind he thinks his little struggling doll is as he dangles it by its head. This red-haired girl chimes in, calling it an entertainment type since it is so amusing to mess with. But the pink-haired girl gets serious, asking the real question, where did he even get this thing? Zio-Chi explains he just instinctively grabbed the tiny moth doll after the big demon vanished. This pink-haired girl warns him it has already formed a contract, but there is a serious catch, because she is worried it might be dangerous, flashing back to a terrifying demonic entity. Meanwhile, the red-haired girl apologizes for the whole mess, promising to be more careful next time. This pink-haired girl, Lurin, clarifies she was just genuinely worried about him. And our boy thanks her, admitting he still has a lot to learn about this whole situation. Seeing her chance, Lurin gets this incredibly determined look on her face, and immediately tries to recruit him into S Corporation with the subtlety of a freight train. Zio-Chi smoothly dodges the job offer by reminding them they are late for an auction. He then starts dragging a terrified Lurin away as the red-haired girl just watches, amused. Lurin tells him she let the other girl know he was safe, and also that his suit is trashed. His focus immediately shifts, asking if the red-haired girl's family is okay after the attack. Lurin confirms she called them and everything is fine, crisis averted for now. At that moment, the red-haired girl is just cackling in the background, finding this all hilarious. She teases him for caring, then jokes that he will probably run into another demon at the auction. Zio-Chi immediately denies it, insisting there is no way his luck could be that bad. And right on cue, a massive explosion rips through a skyscraper in the city. Suddenly, he is holding a completely new mermaid-looking girl, yelling the name Zinky. As a giant purple monster charges them, she just screams back at him, Jinx. Then she looks at him, totally baffled, and asks who the hell Zinky even is. Zio-Chi snaps back that they do not have time for a pop quiz on names right now. As he sprints for his life, carrying the mystery mermaid girl away from a giant shadow beast. This thing's single bloodshot eye is locked onto them with pure unadulterated rage, and our boy just keeps running, trying to process what fresh hell he has stumbled into this time. Then we flash back 2 hours earlier to the auction house where this whole disaster kicked off. Inside, an auctioneer is on stage, welcoming all the esteemed guests to the big event. While our crew watches everything unfold from the comfort of a private VIP box, Zio-Chi, Lurin, and the red-haired girl are all decked out in formal wear, looking very out of place, and our boy immediately starts complaining about having to dress up for this. This red-haired girl just sighs, explaining that the hosts are really particular about the dress code. Then Lurin casually mentions her boss, Yaoyan, has offered to pay for anything he wants, which gets both Zio-Chi and the red-haired girl absolutely sparkling with greedy excitement. Lurin quickly clarifies, however, that the blank check does not apply to the red-haired girl. While Zio-Chi feels awkward about the offer, his friend just calls it a very expensive recruitment tactic. Lurin insists her boss is a sharp businesswoman who knows a good investment when she sees one, telling him that this massive gesture just proves how valuable he is. She then sighs dramatically, wishing she had that kind of money to throw around, and the red-haired girl joins in, having a complete meltdown over being broke. She is practically in tears, whining that she heard ancient weapons are for sale and she cannot afford them, so she begs Zio-Chi to bid for her, only for him to admit he is just as broke as she is. This red-haired girl is absolutely losing it, yelling that his new boss is literally throwing money at him. But Zio-Chi just fires back that it is asterisk his money to refuse, a master of financial priorities. This leaves both girls calling him stingy, with his friend having a full-on pout session on the floor. Just then, his attention is drawn to the stage as the main event finally kicks off. This auctioneer hypes up the crowd, promising the biggest surprise of the night is about to be revealed, and they wheel out this massive, mysterious object hidden under a giant red cloth. With a flourish, they unveil a mermaid floating inside a glowing tank, only the second one ever auctioned. Zio-Chi and Lurin are completely horrified, realizing they are about to watch a person be sold. This mermaid herself just looks down, completely defeated and resigned to her fate, but her eyes suddenly widen, locking onto something in the audience with a flash of fear. From their VIP box, the crew gets a full view of her being displayed like a trophy for the bidders. And Zio-Chi's expression hardens, clearly not okay with any part of this situation. Lurin grimly explains that sometimes auctions sell these kinds of goods. His red-haired friend is just disgusted by the whole spectacle, calling it absolutely vile. Lurin then confirms she is a mermaid, a concept Zio-Chi seems to be hearing about for the first time. She explains it is a rare phenomenon called atavism, where humans manifest animal traits. It is similar to how powerful fighters can summon animal phantoms when they go all out, and these unique traits are believed to be a direct link to the Ghost King's power. So people hunt them down, thinking they can unlock ancient secrets by studying them. This red-haired girl just scoffs, calling it a pathetic excuse to capture a pretty girl. This mermaid just floats in her glass prison, hands bound and looking completely defeated. Their eyes meet across the auction hall and you can just feel the silent plea for help. So Zio Chi turns to Luren, asking if that blank check from her boss has any, spending limits. She just gives him this sly little smile, confirming he has got the green light to go absolutely wild. His red-haired friend immediately catches on, realizing he is about to do something incredibly stupid and expensive. Calling him out for using company money to buy a person, she then shrugs, admitting his boss would probably do the same. Down on the stage, the auctioneer kicks things off with a starting bid of 100 million pocket change apparently, and the bids just explode with a bunch of rich weirdos throwing money around like it is nothing. It quickly boils down to two main players, a representative for the Chi family and our boy's proxy. From their VIP box, the girls spot the Chi family's room and they do not look happy about it. This red-haired girl immediately calls them a bunch of lunatics, so you know they have got a charming reputation. Meanwhile, Zio Chi is having the time of his life, gleefully tapping away on a tablet to drive up the price. He jokes about how much trouble he will be in with his boss for spending this much, not a care in the world. His friend points out that if the Chi family wins, they might as well go all in and save the mermaid properly. This bid hits a staggering 310 million, and Zio Chi just stares at the confirmation screen, before slamming his finger down on the yes button, locking in the insane offer. This auctioneer absolutely loses his mind, announcing the massive 310 million bid to the stunned crowd. With a grin, he starts the final countdown, calling out going once. Zio Chi and Luren watch from above, the tension thick as the auctioneer shouts going twice. As the final call of going 3 times echoes, the mermaid's fate is about to be sealed. This gavel slams down, officially ending the most expensive impulse buy in history. With a triumphant shout, the auctioneer declares the mermaid sold to the mysterious high bidder, and Zio Chi just collapses onto the couch in pure, unadulterated relief, having finally won. His friends are pretty pleased too, with the red-haired girl smugly confirming they saved the mermaid lady. But their victory lap is immediately interrupted by a massive explosion that shatters their window. From the rubble below, a desperate plea for help echoes through the sudden chaos, because a giant, purple, tentacled nightmare beast just decided to crash the auction. It has already grabbed the auctioneer, who is understandably not enjoying his new role as a chew toy. This thing is a towering, one-eyed monstrosity, making the last demon look like a pet hamster. Red warning alerts flash as the creature starts tearing through the panicked crowd below. Back in the main hall, the mermaid is still trapped in her tank, which is now cracked and leaking. Zio Chi immediately shifts gears, telling Luren they have to save her first, no questions asked. At that exact moment, the glass of their VIP box finally gives way, shattering completely, prompting the whole squad to make a graceful exit by jumping straight out of the building. Our boy is midair with a look of pure, unadulterated, I have made a huge mistake on his face. This red-haired girl just grabs his hand, casually asking if he is scared of a little height, and they all land safely on a lower level, ready to face the music. Staring down the monster, Luren steps forward, volunteering to hold the big guy off. She then orders the other two to go save the mermaid while she handles the distraction. Zio Chi gives her a determined nod, telling her to be careful before they part ways. Luren charges the tentacle beast with a giant glowing axe, going full magical girl on this nightmare. With a quick nod, Zio Chi tells his friend it is time to go, and she is right with him. They immediately break into a run, heading straight for the mermaid's glass prison. Reaching the cracked tank, he quickly checks on the terrified girl trapped inside. His red-haired friend hops on top, telling Zio Chi to stand back so she can smash it open. She brings her glowing sword down with a fierce battle cry, ready to free their new friend. And the glass shatters under the force of the blow, sending water gushing everywhere. With the mermaid freed, she orders Zio Chi to get her to safety while she goes to back up Luren. But just then, a massive purple tentacle whips through the air right at them. It is aimed squarely at his friend, who has just jumped clear of the tank as Zio Chi watches in horror. She just grins, fangs out, and yells for them to get going as she prepares for a fight. These two girls then team up, launching a coordinated assault on the towering monster. But their attacks just bounce off, both of them realize they cannot even cut through its hide. That horrifying flowermouth just roars, completely unfazed by their best efforts. This creature retaliates with a massive tentacle sweep, sending both girls dodging for their lives, and its attack slams into the building, causing another huge explosion in the auction hall. Meanwhile, Zio Chi is just screaming that his friend totally jinxed them with her earlier prediction. He scrambles through the debris with the mermaid as the monster continues its rampage. Cradling her, he looks for an escape route while she just looks up at him, about to speak, and asks if there is a way out, right as another blast sends them tumbling through the air. As they are sent flying, she asks him how they are supposed to get rid of this thing. He hits the ground hard, immediately checking to see if his new mermaid friend passed out. Turns out she's just dizzy from the trip, swirly eyes and all, much to his confusion. A second later, she snaps awake with a gasp, looking completely overwhelmed by the chaos. Zio Chi just stares, having absolutely no idea what is happening with her anymore. And then the waterworks start because this day just keeps getting better and better. So our boy, a master of emotional support, just yells at her to stop crying. She insists she was not, all while having a full-blown panic attack in his arms, which immediately escalates into a cartoon-style wailing session, complete with a giant mouth. Suddenly, a massive pillar of blue energy erupts from her, engulfing them both, and where the mermaid girl was now stands a ridiculously ripped merman. This new form floats up to confront the tentacle beast, ready for a proper fight. Meanwhile, Chi finds himself in some weird underwater mindscape with the original mermaid. She is just as confused as he is, wondering how he even got into her head. He reaches out and touches her face, confirming this is somehow actually happening, and he is shocked that he can physically interact with her in this mental space. She explains this is her ability and they need to get out to deal with the monster. With a determined look, she agrees to give it her all. Back in the real world, her merman form powers up, confirming she is in control. He then lays down the new rule: they are fused and cannot separate until the beast is toast. Now in control, Chi tells his new partner to maybe not start crying mid-battle. This tentacle beast just roars back, completely unimpressed with their new battle form, so their fused form charges in, swinging a massive water blade straight at the monster. But his shocked expression confirms the obvious: that attack did absolutely nothing. Undeterred, he powers up an even bigger water sword for a second, more optimistic attempt. He brings it down with full force, aiming to slice right through the beast's hide, only to discover his weapon cannot even pierce it, a minor tactical oversight. Meanwhile, back in their shared mind, she is asking if this merging means they will have a baby. Chi is just trying to process that, stammering that they absolutely did not. This deeply personal conversation is interrupted by a tentacle smashing him into a building. She immediately freaks out, asking if her husband is okay. She is really committing to the bit. He is very much not okay, left embedded in the rubble and looking seriously beat up. But he manages to pull himself free, ready to get back into the fight. As a wave of healing energy washes over him, patching up the damage. Back in the mindscape, she calls him husband again, and Chi is just completely lost. He facepalms, telling her his name is Chi Yu, while she starts apologizing profusely. Her apology quickly spirals into a full-on breakdown as she insists it is all her fault, and we are thrown into a flashback of her childhood where she was called a useless jinx. She is seen being abandoned by her family, who walk away without a second glance. This memory ends with her wondering if she is the reason for everyone's misfortune. Her traumatic memory ends with her wishing she never existed, blaming herself for everything. Back in their shared mind, Chi Yu gently wipes away her tears, telling her none of this is her fault because she is a victim in all this too. With the emotional support session over, he tells her to send him back to the fight, and Chi Yu flashes a grin, promising her this tentacle beast will be easy to handle. Their fused form powers up back in the real world, ready to make good on that promise. A massive water spear immediately forms and launches with incredible speed, followed by Chi Yu himself, who rockets forward straight towards the monster, diving headfirst right between the beast's giant waiting tentacles. His spear slams directly into the creature's horrifying flower mouth, only for him to get casually snagged by a tentacle, the attack doing absolutely nothing. Now he's getting dragged in, completely wrapped up and powerless to stop it, as the monster's inner maw closes in, about to swallow him and his weapon whole. From the mindscape, the mermaid girl watches in absolute horror as the jaws snap shut, immediately freaking out and screaming that her new husband just got eaten. But it turns out he is fine, just taking a scenic tour of the monster's digestive tract. He flies through the fleshy interior looking for a weak spot or maybe an exit, and discovers the place is crawling with giant, disgusting parasite worms. Inside, Chi Yu notes there is a little monster, while she is just grossed out by the whole situation. And yeah, she has a point. These things are pure, unadulterated nightmare fuel. Inside the beast, Chi Yu throws up a water shield to block the giant parasite worms. He immediately admits to himself that this situation is, shall we say, less than ideal, as he is sent tumbling through the monster's guts, surrounded by an army of them. And yeah, our boy confirms there are way too many of these things to handle. While he braces for a fight, his mermaid partner is still having a full-on panic attack in their shared mind. So he just unleashes a massive wave of energy to clear some breathing room. Back in her head, she is actually impressed, noting he is pretty strong for a guy who is crying, which prompts Chi Yu to finally ask why she is always apologizing for everything. And we dive straight into another traumatic flashback of her childhood. Lovely. This charming woman is seen yelling at her younger self for causing trouble yet again, with the poor kid just begging for forgiveness, promising she will be good. But her caretaker just lectures her that bad kids deserve to be punished. A single tear falls from her eye, solidifying into a pearl as she is left alone, and then she is just locked away in a dark cell to think about what she has done. This memory then shifts to her reaching for some mysterious man in the clouds, but her hope just dissolves into nothing as she tries to touch him, bringing us back to the present where she is stuck in a loop of I am sorry. Until a hand suddenly offers her one of her own luminous pearls, catching her completely off guard as she looks up from her despair. And it is the guy from her memory telling her to use the pearl as a light. His simple act of kindness earns him a super sweet, blushing thank you from her. Back in the real world, our boy just smirks, telling her it is no big deal. Now completely focused, he zips through the monster's guts and declares he has found it. All business now, his expression shows he is locked onto the objective inside this nightmare. And there it is, a giant pulsating organ. He has officially found the monster's weakness. A quick Chibai-style breakdown confirms the new plan: forget the outside, they are hitting the core. Chi Yu just smirks in agreement, confirming her tactical genius is right on the money. Then he drops a compliment, telling her she actually looks pretty good when she smiles. With the pep talk over, he charges up a massive water attack with his spear, which launches forward as a massive, swirling drill of pure hydropower, Riding the torrent, he guides the attack directly towards the monster's weak spot, and he braces for impact, about to slam his water drill right into the fleshy core. His spear slams home, piercing the organ with a massive burst of energy. A devastating blow that tears right through the creature's insides, a direct hit. Meanwhile, on the outside, the monster's head starts to throb and bulge unnaturally. It starts convulsing violently, much to the shock of Luren and her red-haired friend. This entire creature writhes in agony, its massive body twisting from the internal damage, and then a massive drill of pure blue energy just bursts right out of its head. From this newly made exit, their fused form emerges, looking completely badass. He lands in front of his stunned friends and gives a casual wave like it was nothing. His friends rush over, cheering that they have actually won the fight, but Luren suddenly skids to a halt, realizing something is definitely off. She asks the million-dollar question, why have not they separated yet? In their shared mind, both Chi-Yu and the mermaid are just as clueless, and he is starting to get a little worried about this whole permafusion deal. This pink-haired girl explains it should have ended automatically when the beast died, which leads Chi-Yu to a horrifying conclusion, maybe it is not quite dead yet. They all just stare at the shattered remains, which look pretty convincingly deceased. Then the mermaid's head pops out, demanding her husband fix this immediately, a term that leaves his friends completely and utterly speechless. Suddenly, we are in a high-tech sterile room with their fused form in a medical pod. Outside, the girls watch through a window, Luren holding a tablet with the mermaid on screen. This white-haired girl seems a bit uncomfortable, asking her friend to change positions. She then tries to reassure the mermaid on the tablet that Chi-Yu is not a threat, while the pink-haired girl chimes in, telling her to get some rest like a good kid. A flustered Luren just explains that her team gets a little intense with people they like. On the screen, the mermaid gives a small wave, agreeing to log off for now, but her face suddenly contorts in shock as she screams out for her brother. At the same time, a single tear rolls down Chi-Yu's face inside the pod, causing Luren to panic and slam the intercom, demanding to know what is happening. This white-haired girl stands guard at a high-tech lab, finally granting someone entry. Inside, a scientist delivers his team's findings after running a battery of tests. Their big conclusion is that Chi-Yu is just an ordinary one-mark, nothing special. And worse, they could not find any information on the mermaid he is fused with. She just dismisses the scientist, clearly processing this new unhelpful information. Turning to Chi-Yu, she asks if he is crying because of his new mermaid partner. He admits he is, explaining their emotions are now linked, a feature, not a bug. This throws us back into their shared mindscape, a surprisingly peaceful underwater world, where Chi-Yu is completely baffled, asking why she is crying mid-debriefing. She apologizes yet again, saying this space just triggers her traumatic memories. Our boy just promises to find a way to undo the fusion and tells her to send him back. Back in the lab, he explains how he gets pulled into this weird mental space with her, which leads his white-haired friend to wonder if this is one of the mermaid's abilities. Chi-Yu, still weeping, can only offer a very helpful probably. Thanks for the insight, buddy. This pink-haired girl chimes in, saying it is totally expected for a mermaid to have strange powers. She then speculates that maybe their fusion has actually gone even deeper. Reading from a file, the white-haired girl explains mermaids are considered atavistic beings, noting that even high-level marks only show partial animal traits during battle. But this mermaid somehow managed a full, seemingly permanent fusion with Chi-Yu, which leads the pink-haired girl to excitedly conclude this is why they are stuck together. This pink-haired girl figures if they can turn the mermaid back to human, the fusion should break. Meanwhile, Chi-Yu is on a video call with a girl named Lan Yuan, telling her not to worry about her brother. She sweetly agrees to rest, reminding him to eat before she logs off for the night. But the moment the call ends, Lan Yuan just slumps over, looking completely defeated. She is convinced she is nothing but a burden who just drags her brother down, when suddenly a tiny moth fairy floats over her shoulder holding a little pink towel. Wiping her tears, Lan Yuan wonders aloud if her brother would be happier if she just was not around. We then cut to a bustling city street, a total change of scenery, where Chi-Yu is out for a stroll with his red-haired friend, still crying his eyes out under a hoodie. Of course, bystanders immediately assume it is domestic violence, calling her a terrible girlfriend. She finds this absolutely hilarious, teasing him that she made the big tough guy cry, and our boy just plays along, admitting it really does look bad for her. This red-haired girl then complains that their other friends totally ditched them with the escort mission. In a quick flashback, the white-haired girl claims she has family matters to attend to, and the pink-haired one also bilayed, saying her group needed her. Real convincing excuses, guys. Back in the present, Chi-Yu admits their sudden departure did feel a little weird. His friend agrees, pointing out it is almost like they were actively avoiding something. Just then, a sleek black car silently pulls up right in front of them, and a literal red carpet unrolls from the car to their feet, because of course it does. A man in a suit steps out, leaving our two heroes completely dumbfounded by the sudden VIP treatment. A single polished dress shoe steps onto the red carpet with an air of importance, followed by a silver-haired man in a trench coat who looks like he owns the whole city. His hand immediately shoots out and grabs Chi-Yu by the hoodie, so much for a friendly greeting. This guy then yanks him in close for what looks suspiciously like a kiss, leaving Chi-Yu horrified. Seriously, their faces are inches apart and the romantic tension is, well, it is just pure confusion. Chi-Yu's fist clenches as he calls the old-timer a pervert, which fair assessment. He shoves the man back with full force, yelling at him to stay away. With a furious cry, he winds up for a punch but shouts "Dad" at the very last second. Our boy freezes mid-swing, hand over his mouth, realizing he has made a terrible, terrible mistake. This old man just starts bawling his eyes out while Chi-Yu tearfully calls him Dad again. Overcome with joy, the man wails daughter, which only makes this situation 10 times weirder. Chi-Yu finally connects the dots, asking if this is Lan Yuan's father, and the man confirms it. Uncle Lan, as he calls himself, goes in for a big emotional hug, but Chi-Yu is still processing. Trying to get back on track, Chi-Yu asks about Lan Yuan's current condition. Her father says he's been briefed on the situation and insists they head home to talk. And home turns out to be a ridiculously massive gated mansion because of course it is. Inside, Chi-Yu demands to know how his mermaid partner even got abducted in the first place. In a mental flashback, Lan Yuan admits she snuck out without permission and got wasted, a classic. Chi-Yu is left completely speechless, just absorbing the sheer stupidity of it all. With his friend and her dad present, they all agree on the main objective, breaking this fusion. Uncle Lan reveals the solution to their problem is a spooky purple portal with a trial inside. Our boy is understandably confused, asking what a random test has to do with their fusion. Her dad explains that passing it will teach Lan Yuan to control her powers, which is the key to separating. Chi-Yu just sighs, feeling like he is being used as a power-leveling cheat code for his new mermaid buddy. With a serious look, her father puts all his faith in Chi-Yu to get this done. This kid asks how to get in, and dad says it is a special merfolk trial, just touch the door. He suggests maybe prepping a little, but her dad is like, "Now you got this, just go." So with zero preparation, Chi-Yu steps up to the ominous swirling vortex, ready to dive in. This moment his hand makes contact, he is instantly yanked into the portal. Back in the real world, his red-haired friend just deadpans that the dad is definitely the dramatic type. Suddenly, they are in a creepy underwater cave, and Lan Yuan admits she has always been too scared to do this. He asks for a little intel, and she helpfully offers that there are apparently 3 stages. As he takes in the scenery, a strange fiery glow starts to bubble up from the depths, which erupts into a full-on underwater inferno, catching him completely by surprise. Now he is literally running through fire at the bottom of the ocean because physics is optional here. He quickly deduces this first stage is a pure test of physical endurance, which sounds fun. And just to spice things up, a giant magical battle axe comes swinging down at him. His eyes go wide as he realizes this is way more than just a simple jog. This kid barely dodges as the massive axe smashes into the seabed right where he was standing. And now he is weaving through a whole storm of them, a true trial by combat. Chi-Yu keeps sprinting through this underwater hellscape, dodging fire and giant falling axes. A desperate leap is his only option as an explosion rocks the seabed right behind him. Pushing off with all his might, the guy is basically a blur of motion. But even he gets blasted back by the sheer force of the trial's onslaught. With a smug look, he dismisses it as a simple physical test. Famous last words, buddy. A moment later, he is totally winded but still finds the energy to congratulate himself. In their mindscape, Lan Yuan is fawning over him, calling her hubby amazing. She insists she would have failed instantly while he is just trying to survive the cringe. Back in the trial, the fire vanishes and he is suddenly at the center of a huge whirlpool. All the water in the area starts gathering into a single ominous point. Our boy just smirks, correctly guessing the next stage is the classic fight yourself trope. And right on cue, a perfect water clone of him materializes from the swirling energy. This watery doppelganger immediately forms a whip ready for a showdown. Chi-Yu just crosses his arms, finding the whole evil twin thing pretty amusing. This clone does not waste any time, swinging its water whip in a vicious attack. An easy parry with his own water weapon shows he is completely bored by this. He then taunts his watery copy, asking if that is really the best it can do. His clone just gives him a sinister grin right back, looks like the feeling is mutual. Getting a bit more serious, Chi-Yu tightens his grip, ready for a real fight. This water around them erupts as the two finally get ready to clash for real. Inside the swirling vortex, Chi-Yu and his water clone stare each other down. Our boy immediately charges forward, cutting through the current to start the fight. Leaping high into the air, he prepares to slam down on his watery opponent. With a look of intense concentration, he dives in for what should be the final blow. But the clone just casually parries the attack, completely unimpressed with the effort. This sends Chi-Yu flying backward, momentarily overpowered by his own reflection. Not wasting a second, he pivots and channels all his energy into a powerful kick. This blow connects perfectly, launching the watery doppelganger across the seabed. And with a massive splash, the clone completely disintegrates, another test passed. Chi-Yu just stands there, getting drenched by the remains of his defeated foe. In their mindscape, Lan Yuan is absolutely thrilled, cheering that her hubby won again. Suddenly, his body begins to transform, sprouting a tail and fins, hello, merman form. His form shifts again, this time into Lan Yuan's, who is shocked to be back in her own body. She reaches out, touching his face and realizing they can physically interact now. This scenery then dissolves, placing them in a massive, brightly lit ballroom. Lan Yuan's expression immediately darkens, a look of pure terror on her face. Still wearing her body, Chi-Yu asks what has suddenly gotten her so freaked out. She grabs onto his shoulder, trembling as she looks around the grand hall. This place is an illusion pulled from her memories, she explains, and he is here for the trial. He just calmly observes that it does not seem dangerous, always the last thing you say before it gets dangerous. Lan Yuan is already whimpering, clearly not a fan of this particular trip down memory lane. Still in her body, Chi-Yu calmly deduces that this must be the third and final trial. This illusion solidifies into a massive, empty hall, setting a seriously ominous stage for what is next. Suddenly, they are watching a younger Lan Yuan apologize to a hooded old woman named Aunt Zhang. And this aunt has the most terrifying smile ever, asking if she really knows what she did wrong. This poor kid is trembling, stammering that she should not have done. Well, something. A close-up on the old woman's eye reveals she is 100% unhinged. She then grabs the child, screaming about her asking for other nannies because she was not enough. This is followed by a bone-chilling hug where she claims to be the only one who truly loves her. In another memory, the woman holds her face, asking what she wants for lunch in the creepiest way possible. But before Lan Yuan can answer, she is told she's getting vegetables because Auntie knows best. Back in the present, Lan Yuan admits that even as an illusion, this memory is unbearable. Chi-Yu finally steps in, interrupting the memory to tell the old crone that Lan Yuan has not answered yet. This illusionary aunt just gives him a smug little smirk, completely unfazed by his appearance. In fact, she just bursts into a full-blown villainous cackle, so this is the boss fight. She dismisses the young Lan Yuan, saying a little kid like her does not know anything. Then her body starts erupting in a sinister purple aura because of course it does. Dark, feathered wings burst from her back, glowing with pure nightmare fuel. Her full transformation is a horrifying harpy monster, still wearing that creepy old lady face. And Lan Yuan is just frozen in terror, staring at the monster that was once her caretaker. This harpy nanny immediately unleashes a storm of glowing purple feathers right at Chi-Yu, but our boy just calmly gathers a swirling ball of water energy in his palm, looking completely unfazed as he prepares to throw down in his new merman form. Auntie Harpy starts screaming about being rejected, pulling the classic "I am the only one who loves you" card. Lan Yuan finally finds her voice, telling the monster that whatever she is selling, it is not love. Her memories flash back to a childhood of control, imprisonment, and pure manipulation, boldly declaring that she has plenty of people who actually love her for real. And that declaration makes Chi-Yu blush, thinking the line sounds a little directed at him. So she immediately grabs his hand, announcing to the monster that he is her husband, leaving him totally stunned. This monster nanny gets even more possessive, threatening to kill Lan Yuan if she dares touch her man, and Chi-Yu has had enough, unleashing a massive water blast that slams right into the monster. His attack sends the harpy flying across the illusionary hall, but she is already recovering midair. While our boy is already on the move, surging forward with a torrent of water at his command. She gets caught in his watery vortex, revealing a key weakness. Mermaids control water with their emotions, which means if you can mess with their heads, you can mess with their powers. This monster struggles against the current, clearly planning to exploit this new information. But Chi-Yu just gives her a cocky grin, asking if she knows that water can also cut. Her eyes just glow with pure, unadulterated rage. This is not going her way at all. So she switches tactics, trying to provoke Lan Yuan by telling her to stop relying on others and get angry. And the poor girl just turns to Chi-Yu, asking for permission to finally let her anger out. With a confident grin, Chi-Yu gives her the green light to finally unleash her rage. Lan Yuan's eyes snap open, her pupils transforming as she taps into her true merfolk power. She reaches out, blasting the monster nanny with a wave of pure, concentrated water energy, which immediately forms a massive vortex that slams down on the harpy with absolute fury. Her former tormentor is sent tumbling helplessly through the water, completely overwhelmed. This monster tries one last guilt trip, but Lan Yuan just stares back, her expression now cold and resolute. As she watches her past fade, Chi-Yu pulls her into a supportive hug from behind. And with that, the illusion of her abuser finally shatters into purple particles and vanishes. Her body goes limp as the trial ends, but Chi-Yu is right there to catch her. In a flash of blue light, her mermaid tail finally transforms back into a pair of human legs, and just like that, they are separated, with Chi-Yu back in his suit and holding a fully human Lan Yuan. Our boy looks a little flustered by the sudden, very not fused physical contact. She just looks up at him with a blush, happily announcing that they have completed the trial. He cannot resist a little teasing, asking if she is finally done crying for the day. But she just smiles, saying seeing him makes her happy. This ship is practically building itself. They are suddenly back in the real world with her dad and his friend there to congratulate them. Uncle Lan is absolutely overcome with emotion, sharing a tearful, sparkly-eyed reunion with his daughter. He drops to his knees and pulls her into a tight embrace, finally holding his little girl again. Meanwhile, the red-haired friend comments on how tough the 3 trials were, leaving Chi-Yu confused. Turns out there were only 2 trials. Her dad just added a third because it sounded way cooler. Chi-Yu is still processing that 3rd trial, realizing it was literally Lan Yuan's childhood nightmare made real. He is also wondering if that harpy nanny was just an illusion or some kind of actual demon beast. Before he can think too hard, her dad throws an arm around him, giving a thumbs up and approving their marriage. A nearby attendant comments on how happy the master is, while Lan Yuan just blushes furiously. Uncle Lan gets all dramatic, declaring that their souls were fated to meet and all that jazz. Our boy just stares, trying to compute the engagement he apparently just walked into. With a very unsubtle wink, the dad tells him to just get along for now, leaving Chi-Yu totally silent. He glances over at Lan Yuan, who seems just as mortified by her father's complete lack of chill. Finally, Chi Yu just gives in to the madness with a simple okay, and Lan Yuan is absolutely glowing, completely thrilled by this whole development. Later, Chi Yu confirms with the red-haired friend that the third trial was just an illusion, who then drops the bomb that there were only supposed to be 2 trials. Her dad just added one for funsies. After absorbing that, Chi Yu says he needs to head home to check on his sister. But the friend stops him with some bad news. She is not well. He explains the Zhang family has taken over her treatment, promising a visit when she is better. With that unsettling update, Chi Yu says his goodbyes and gets into his car. Lan Yuan and her dad wave him off, telling him to come visit again soon. But in the car, his mind is racing, wondering if meeting Lan Yuan at the auction was really a coincidence. He also questions if the mermaid previously sold to the Lan family is connected to all this. And the biggest mystery of all, why was the gate to the mermaid trial in her house in the first place? In the car, Chi Yu cannot stop thinking about that harpy nanny, wondering if she was real or not. But he decides to just take things one step at a time and focus on the road. This next morning, he is greeted by a very energetic, pink-haired girl at a high-tech facility, who announces she is his guide to bring him on board with the mysterious S group. Inside, the place is packed, and she explains how her organization clawed its way to the top. Their specialties are apparently power armor and newcomer training. How convenient for him. As a demonstration, 2 people in futuristic suits are zipping around a massive training hall, getting into a seriously intense aerial sword fight with energy blades clashing. His new guide casually points them out, totally unfazed by the high-speed combat. She also reassures him a barrier is up, so no one's getting accidentally bisected today. Suddenly, a woman named Director Luo arrives and calls for the training to be paused. These 2 fighters land, with the woman in the orange suit striking a confident pose. Director Luo greets her subordinate before turning her attention to the handsome, new arrival Chi Yu. Our boy just gives a polite hello, clearly trying to read the room here. He seems pretty impressed by the male fighter's suit, which is glowing with blue energy. An attendant asks if Chi Yu wants to try it, but he is hesitant to impose. Director Luo is very persuasive though, insisting it is easy while putting an arm on his shoulder. With that, he is all smiles and agrees to give the power armor a shot. He steps onto a platform and asks what he is supposed to do next, only for the floor to drop out from under him. Welcome to the S group, hope you can fly. Chi Yu is in freefall, frantically trying to contact his team, but his comms are totally dead. Instead of plummeting, he is being yeeted upwards by some invisible force, wondering where this ride ends. He is sent soaring through the sky over a mountain range like a human missile. A quick check of his suit's core confirms it. He is completely cut off and flying blind. This trajectory seems to be leading him to a totally normal mountain, or so he thinks. But then his eyes catch something that definitely does not belong in nature. It is a massive high-tech complex hidden in the mountainside, leaving him completely stunned. He quickly deduces this must be some kind of secret experimental base. His grand entrance concludes with him landing in a room full of armed guards. Great, a welcoming committee. Our boy immediately tries to figure out if he is among enemies or just very paranoid allies. A woman in a sharp uniform introduces herself as Fuzu, a director from the S group. Chi Yu, now in a fresh change of clothes, cuts right to the chase, asking why he was kidnapped. She just smiles, claiming she is here to solve the trouble he has been having lately. Fuzu then offers to help with his combining problem if he will just cooperate with them. After a moment's thought, Chi Yu agrees that her offer sounds pretty good actually. With that settled, she leads him deeper into the mysterious facility and he follows. He is walking along but cannot help worrying if his friends will ever find him here. She explains this is a secret base dedicated to something called pattern ascension for regular folks. This term pattern ascension definitely catches his interest, a new mystery to solve. A helpful Chibai diagram explains that with enough training, even low-level powers can become god tier. Of course, this pattern ascension process is so tough that most people just end up completely knocked out. Because for the average person, your power level is pretty much locked in from birth. Chi Yu immediately puts it all together. They want to study his combining ability to break that rule. And Director Fuzu just gives him a smug little smile, confirming he is exactly right. Our boy's instincts are screaming that this whole setup feels less like research and more like a supervillain's lab. He even calls her out, pointing out that legit science does not usually involve kidnapping your test subjects. A nearby researcher with glasses just stays completely silent, offering zero backup whatsoever. Chi Yu keeps pressing, guessing they have already sent people to pressure his allies and keep them quiet. With him officially missing, he knows every faction that wants a piece of him is about to make a move. But Fuzu is completely unfazed, telling him that trying to stall for time is absolutely useless. A guard then shoves a weapon into his back, giving him a very unsubtle nudge to keep walking. That is when he sees them, rows of tubes holding various beings, including a girl with cat ears. This is not just a small operation. It is a massive, horrifying lab full of living test subjects. This cat-eared girl in the tube actually gives him a cheerful little wave, which is 10 times more disturbing. He asks if he can hear what she is saying, and the director agrees, but with a clear catch in her tone. She casually dismisses all of them as failed products not worth his time. Real classy lady. Then she hands him a glowing tablet to communicate with the girl in the stasis pod. On the screen, the girl looks right at him, asking if he is the one trying to reach her. and then she drops a bombshell asking if her brother has finally come to take her home. She says the treatments hurt so much and that all she wants is her mom. This just got heavy. This cat-eared girl is crying, surrounded by dark energy, pleading that she just wants to go home. But director Fu Zhu coldly suggests her elimination after seeing an overload reaction. So much for HR. Through the tablet, Chi Yu desperately tries to calm her down, promising her brother is here to save her. And for one beautiful, heartbreaking second, she smiles, believing him completely. That hope is immediately shattered as a beam of energy blasts right through her chest. A guard lowers his rifle as the system announces elimination complete, all while Chi Yu is forced to watch. Her body slumps onto the platform, the life draining out of her as the electricity fades. Our boy is absolutely livid, his face contorted with pure, unadulterated rage. He lunges at the director, who has the nerve to say the girl should feel proud of this, because apparently she sacrificed herself for the evolution of humanity. What a load of crap. Flanked by armed guards, Chi Yu fires back that sacrifice is supposed to be voluntary. She just smirks, claiming they all signed contracts and got paid, as if that justifies murder. Then she gets uncomfortably close, admitting kidnapping him was an oversight because he is so unique. She grabs his arm, trying to negotiate by asking what it is he actually wants. But Chi Yu is done talking, pulling a glowing knife and holding it right to her throat. Instead of panicking, she just gives him this absolutely terrifying, unhinged smile. He asks what is so funny, and she basically calls his little laser sword a cute but effective toy. She even touches his face, condescendingly calling it a pity that he is unwilling to cooperate. Her expression turns monstrous as she sneers that he is far more precious than any of these failed products. And in that instant, Chi Yu realizes he is not dealing with a scientist, he is dealing with a true monster. Chi Yu's knife sinks into her neck, but she just grins maniacally, calling herself worthless. With blood dripping down her chin, she just smirks at him, completely unfazed by the whole being stabbed thing. Our boy is just gritting his teeth, realizing his big move was about as effective as a sternly worded letter. This guards immediately grab him, and he can only yell that she is absolutely insane. She pulls the glowing blade out herself, calling him too kind for not trying harder, I guess. Pinned down, Chi Yu asks if becoming a monster like her is the only way to get strong. She gets right in his face with her "for the future of humanity" speech, a classic for a reason, and then she jams a syringe right into his neck because consent is for the weak. His eyes widen as whatever's in that needle starts coursing through his veins. Next thing you know, he is being dragged down a hallway, completely out of it. This guards escort him to a heavily reinforced door, which is never a good sign. He wakes up to find himself hooked up to a bunch of wires with his vitals reading as normal. Strapped into a chair, the system announces it is time for a pain level test. Oh fun. Chi Yu barely has time to process what is happening before the experiment kicks off. A massive jolt of electricity surges through him, and he is just screaming in pure agony. Meanwhile, some researcher in a lab coat just calmly tells his assistant to get good data. Suddenly, the door opens and a new person walks in, commanding the room's attention. This guards are totally caught off guard, demanding to know who this intruder is. Even Chi Yu mid-torture looks over, trying to figure out what is going on. This new guy in a blue coat looks down at him and asks if he is still siding with humans. Chi Yu, still strapped in, tries to place the face of this mysterious new guy. With a single snap of his fingers, the entire room seems to shift. And suddenly Chi Yu is completely free, asking if this guy is with them. These two lab coats who were torturing him are now just slumped on the floor, totally out of commission. Our rescuer, a smug-looking guy with glasses, casually admits he is the one who took them out. So Chi Yu, now fully dressed, just turns to leave. Guess he is not one for small talk. This rescuer grabs him, practically begging for the Q&A session he clearly expected. Fine, Chi Yu asks the obvious. Who are you? Why save me? And is this about my powers? His savior dodges the first two questions but claims his powers are irrelevant. Super helpful, thanks. Chi Yu just thanks him and tries to walk off again because this conversation is going nowhere fast. This two of them just stand there in the now silent lab, an awkward rescue if I have ever seen one. Frustrated by the lack of gratitude, the rescuer just boots the torture chair with a loud clang, which he immediately regrets, clutching his foot like an absolute dork. So much for a cool entrance. A second, edgier-looking guy appears, mocking the first one's terrible physical condition. This guy with glasses looks down, lamenting that Chi Yu still chose to side with humans, but his red-eyed companion is not worried, chalking it up to Chi Yu's human upbringing. He is confident that once Chi Yu really understands what humanity is, he will have no choice but to join their side, whatever that is. Meanwhile, the base's alarm system starts blaring about an escaped experimental subject. Wonder who that could be. Armed guards immediately scramble down the hallway, responding to the breakout. With alarms blaring, a guard spots Chi Yu and screams for the others to grab him. Our boy just stands there, a calm center in a storm of red lights and approaching security. His eyes narrow, taking in the entire chaotic scene in a single, focused glance. Suddenly, the glass pods lining the hall begin to shatter all at once, and out step the lab's so-called failed products, finally free from their prisons. This guards immediately start freaking out, calling for backup as their test subjects run wild. One of them is practically begging on the radio because this was not in the training manual. It is a full-on riot as the freed subjects charge the guards, who open fire without hesitation. Their minds are just screaming one thing over and over, pure unthinking rage. But Chi-yu hears something else, their pain, their confusion, and their desperate wish to go home. They all turn to him, sensing he is healthy and realizing he is their only hope to escape this hell. And their collective will shifts, now pleading for the guards to let him go home. These poor souls actually form a human shield around him, fighting back against their captors. Of course, the guards just mow them down because mercy is not in the budget. Director Fuzu strolls in just in time to watch the massacre she ordered. Even as they fall, their last thoughts are a selfless plea for Chi-yu's freedom, and our boy absorbs all of it, his eyes flaring with a terrifying golden light. Fuzu gets a greedy, unhinged look, realizing his combining power might be way bigger than she thought. Empowered by their sacrifice, Chi-yu lunges forward and grabs the director right by the throat. And for the first time, that smug smile is wiped clean off her face as she struggles to breathe. Choking the life out of her, Chi-yu is met with pure defiance from the director. A shockwave of energy suddenly blasts his hand away, breaking his hold completely. His eyes are just blazing with golden light, channeling the rage of every victim in this lab. Without a second's hesitation, he throws a supercharged punch right at her face. His surrounding guards are sent flying as he declares them all worthless scum. In response, a fresh squad of guards unloads a barrage of laser fire directly at him. Chi-yu just stands there, completely unimpressed by their pathetic attempt to stop him. And just like that, the guards are taken out by an unseen force, dropping like flies. Instead of being scared, Fuzu is laughing her head off, calling this a wonderful surprise. Her face twists into a terrifying grin as she praises his power, her own hands crackling with energy. She laments the lack of time while activating some kind of crazy power-up of her own. Next thing you know, she is in a full-on combat suit, wielding a massive scythe for the final experiment. She lunges at him like a predator, ready to tear him apart with her new toy. That massive energy scythe comes spinning right for his head, aiming to end this quick. But Chi-yu just casually blocks the blade with a glowing high kick. What a show-off. This two of them launch into an insane aerial battle, zipping all over the massive lab. Their fists collide in a massive explosion of gold and blue energy, a true clash of titans. This impact is so huge it blows a hole right through the side of the facility. As she is sent flying, Chi-yu grabs a chunk of debris, forming it into a makeshift shield. He plants his feet, bracing with his new shield as the fight is clearly far from over. Chi-yu unleashes a massive golden energy dragon, roaring straight for the director. It barrels down on Fuzu, who just stands there waiting to get eaten. And she is loving it, grinning like a maniac at how powerful he has become. This whole area erupts in a massive explosion of golden light. That has gotta hurt. But of course she is still standing, just happy she got some good data from the hit. Not done yet, Chi-yu comes flying in for a powerful follow-up attack, and he stomps her right into the ground, a much-deserved bit of payback. With the fight over, he looks up at some flying figures, telling them not to resist. A pink-haired girl flies down to check on him, asking if he is okay. He just gives a little wave before turning to head back into the destroyed lab. His new friend is totally confused, asking why he is going back into the lion's den. She follows him through the massive hole in the wall, calling out his name. Inside, she finds him apologizing to one of the fallen test subjects he could not save. He tells her he cannot join her S group anymore, not after all this. She seems to understand, asking him what his next move is going to be. For a friend's sake, he considers heading to the Zhang family for help. But she immediately shoots that down, saying she knew he would not go there. Apparently, they are a creepy bunch who all wear masks and smell like decay, yikes. Then she asks the million-dollar question, did he find a new combining partner to beat Fuzu? With his eyes closed, he says no before starting to explain what really happened. In a sudden chibification, he checks her for combining power and she just asks if he feels anything now. Chi-yu explains that whatever power he had during the fight is now completely gone. She is baffled, asking how he pulled it off, but our boy has absolutely no clue either. His new friend just smirks, calling him a total mystery, which is an understatement, really. Deciding to help, she offers to take him to the Zhang family for refuge. They arrive to find a white-haired girl named Yaoyan waiting for them with a friendly hello. This pink-haired girl tearfully hands him over, entrusting him to Yaoyan's care for now. When asked why she is not staying, she claims she has a lot of business to handle. Specifically, she has got to deal with a few parasites, which sounds incredibly ominous. With a wave, she tells the two of them to have fun, though her tone is a little too cheerful. Yaoyan is already sweating bullets, wondering how this could possibly be fun, while Chi-yu is unfazed. She leads him into a hall where the family patriarch is waiting, surrounded by his entourage. This old guy immediately demands Chi-yu combine with Yaoyan so he can see his power, no pressure. A confident smirk spreads across Chi-yu's face, clearly not impressed by the welcome party. He just casually asks what happens if he refuses because consent is still a foreign concept here. Of course, some random goon immediately steps up to yell at him for disrespecting the master. Chi-yu just cleans out his ear, asking where that annoying barking sound is coming from. What a savage. Before the lackey can explode, the old man silences him with a single word. His new order is simple and not at all friendly. Throw Chi-yu into the trial grounds. Yaoyan is completely horrified, calling out to her father as he sentences her new guest. Just as they are about to drag him off, the old man suddenly calls for a halt. His eyes narrow as he reveals he only entertained this meeting because of Yaoyan, but now things have changed. Chi-yu gives him the most eloquent one-finger salute, declaring he is done serving anyone here. He turns to leave with Yaoyan just standing there, caught in the middle of this disaster. so the patriarch in a masterclass of petty revenge orders his son to arrange Yaoyan's marriage immediately. Yaoyan is completely horrified, realizing she has just been turned into a bargaining chip. Our boy clenches his jaw, absolutely furious that they'd use her like this. Her father just dismisses her as worthless if she cannot even handle this small matter. Father of the year right here. Then another family member chimes in, saying there is no point in keeping Chi Yu since his loyalty is elsewhere. Chi Yu is rightfully confused, asking what the hell he is talking about. Turns out this guy's original plan was to just straight up kidnap Chi Yu for his powers. And if that failed, plan B was to go after his younger sister for research. But Yaoyan apparently ruined everything by, not being a complete monster. This guy thought she was some ambitious schemer after the family fortune. Instead, he sneers that she is just a lovesick girl who loses her mind around men. Wow, okay dude. With a smug grin, he decides they will just grant her wish by marrying her off. He then tells her to get lost and become a tool for producing patterned offspring, which is just vile. Having heard quite enough, Chi Yu absolutely explodes, screaming at them to stop. Yaoyan looks over, shocked by his sudden outburst on her behalf, and our boy, knowing it is a provocation, accepts their challenge anyway to get her out of this. This patriarch smirks, officially ordering his men to throw Chi Yu into the trial grounds. As they are led towards some massive golden doors, Chi Yu notes the place feels a bit familiar. Yaoyan looks down, admitting she did not tell him something about what is coming up, but he just smiles gently, asking why she would keep secrets from him. Her eyes widen, completely surprised by his calm and understanding reaction. Chi Yu explains that if her relative had not blabbed, he'd never have known how much she'd done for him. Blushing furiously, she just mumbles that it was nothing much at all. He then recalls how she'd worried about him, especially with the dangers of combining. This triggers a whole trauma montage of past fights, monsters, and painful memories. So back in the present, she asks for a hug, claiming she is the one who is scared now. Chi Yu and the two guards are completely stunned by the request, their brains just blue screening. He eventually agrees, but asks if the audience of two can maybe look away for a second. This guards immediately turn around, suddenly very interested in the architecture and whether professionalism at its finest. With their backs turned, Chi Yu and Yaoyan finally share a comforting hug, but as she holds him, she whispers a critical piece of intel right into his ear. Inner demon. His hand tightens on a purple gem in his pocket, his expression turning serious. Putting on a brave face, Chi Yu reassures her that he will be perfectly fine. One of the guards ruins the moment, telling them to stop wasting time already. Yaoyan gives him one last look, wishing him good luck as she turns to leave. With a soft smile, he just nods, ready to face whatever this trial has in store. With a final "do not worry," Chi Yu steps through the golden doors into the trial grounds. He looks back with a grin, promising that when he comes out. Yaoyan watches him go, her expression hardening with a quiet resolve. They are going to overthrow this whole rotten system together, a hell of a promise. Their shared glance is a silent pact, both of them ready for the coming war. She gives a little laugh, telling him she will be waiting for him. As he disappears into the trial, she reminds him to focus on what is ahead. But then a sly grin spreads across her face as she mentions her own asterisk side of the fight. Turns out she is not alone, she has got her own battlefield to deal with. And her squad is already assembled, ready to raise some hell while Chi Yu is occupied. Meanwhile, our boy finds himself in a dark stone chamber, a single bright doorway beckoning him. A familiar voice echoes from the light, calling him and his companion useless. Chi Yu's eyes narrow in recognition. It is that same trash-talking relative from before. Without a moment's hesitation, he strides right through the doorway to confront him. This smug relative watches from the shadows, curious to see how many inner demons the kid can take. His red eyes glow with sadistic glee, clearly enjoying his role as puppet master. Suddenly, the trial begins, plunging Chi Yu into a memory of a rainy, desolate street. A man walks away as a child begs his daddy not to go. "Oh, we are doing trauma." A tiny Chi Yu, holding his little sister, calls out to the man one more time. And the guy just coldly tells him, "Do not call me dad, talk about a gut punch." This memory kicks off with his father's disgusted face, calling his own kids good-for-nothings. His little sister Linlin cries out for her daddy as a tiny Chi Yu kneels helplessly behind her. She desperately grabs onto the man's leg, trying to stop him from walking out on them forever. But her father just glares back, completely unmoved by his own daughter's pleas. Through tears, she promises they will be good, which is just absolutely gut-wrenching to watch. His response is to grab her by the hair. Yeah, this guy is not winning any parenting awards. He holds her up, sneering that being obedient trash is completely useless to him. A furious young Chi Yu charges in, screaming at the monster to let his sister go. He tries to intervene, grabbing at the guy's leg with all his tiny might. For his trouble, he gets kicked aside while his sister is literally thrown to the ground. This deadbeat dad just turns his back, saying he has already done his utmost by raising them. In the rain, a bruised Chi Yu comforts his sister, promising he will always be there for her. Trying to be strong, she tells him not to cry, promising she will not either. Back in the trial, Chi Yu recognizes this horrible memory of their abandonment. He remembers Yaoyan's warning and realizes this must be the inner demon she mentioned. Suddenly, twisted, demonic versions of him and his sister appear with terrifying grins. These inner demons claim they were abandoned because their patterns were too low. But Chi Yu shuts that down immediately, stating the simple truth: their dad was just a scumbag. His demon sister argues back, insisting it was all their fault for being too weak. As she speaks, another person's foot steps into the scene, interrupting this twisted therapy session. Demon Linlin argues they would not have been abandoned if their family had just deemed them worthy. But Chi-Yu shuts her down, declaring they do not want that kind of conditional love anyway. She just screams for her parents, lashing out with shadowy tendrils in a fit of rage. He blocks the attack, reminding her that even without parents, they still have each other. Grabbing her by the shoulders, he tries to snap her out of this twisted despair. He promises her that they are family and he will never, ever abandon her. For a moment, it seems to work as her red eyes fill with tears and she whispers, "Brother." Then a demonic hand punches straight through his chest from behind. Well, that is not ideal. His own inner demon appears, calling his compassion nothing but an excuse for being weak. This twisted version of himself blames him, saying if he'd been stronger, their dad never would have left. These two demons then merge into a single glowing entity, its voice echoing that it is all his fault, and this new combined demon lunges at him with a blade made of pure rage. Lying on the ground, Chi-Yu fumbles for that purple gem as the demon taunts him for playing dead. But instead, he pulls out a glowing red gem, yelling for the demon to take it. He just offers the gem to his demon self, who pauses, completely baffled by this weird move. This demon scoffs, thinking it is just a trick as his body sprouts dark, crystalline spikes. Suddenly, the gem unleashes a piercing beam of red light, sharp as a blade, and it stabs right through the demon's chest in a perfect, unexpected counterattack. Out of absolutely nowhere, a fiery red-haired girl with a sword appears over the scene. With a confident stance, she just tells a stunned Chi-Yu that she will explain everything later. This fiery-haired girl appears with a knife, asking if she is late for the trauma party. A glowing memory of two hands clasping gives way to her fiery form facing the demon. Sprouting phoenix wings, she gets into a battle stance ready to throw down. She then launches herself at the demon like a human missile made of pure fire. This attack reflects in the demon's eye just moments before the big impact. And just like that, the trial is over, leaving Chi-Yu dazed on the ground with his mysterious savior. A memory surfaces of him promising to protect this girl, whose name is apparently Killen. This triggers another, happier memory of him and his sister getting comforting head pats. Back in the present, Killen stands over him as the illusionary world starts to fade away. This entire trial space begins to shatter and crumble around them. Both of them plummet through the collapsing dimension, just a normal Tuesday for these two. After landing, she asks the very specific question of why his trauma is set on a commercial street. He deflects by asking if she has diarrhea, a masterclass in emotional vulnerability. She just leans in closer, clearly not buying his terrible attempt at humor for a second. Putting a hand on his shoulder, she offers to explain how she managed to get here. Turns out that purple gem he was holding is a road sign that led her right to him. She explains another ally used the gem to project her spirit and power into his mind. This means her physical body is currently just taking a nap somewhere safe. It is a shame, she notes, because this astral projection taxi service only seats one. If her whole 5-person squad could have shown up, she laments, they'd be completely unstoppable. Chi-Yu gets a soft smile, realizing Yaoyan must have been planning this rescue for a long time. Killen confirms it, explaining Yaoyan had this set up and even knew their other allies before he did. She also reveals Yaoyan stopped him from acting rashly before because this backup plan was already in motion. With a sly grin, she adds that he unexpectedly played the hero, saving her instead, a fun little twist. Another squad member chimes in, teasing about how flustered Yaoyan got just talking about him. Our boy just coughs, completely embarrassed by this sudden gossip session in the middle of his mind dungeon. This scene then shifts to a dark alley as a voice yells for some thugs to beat up an arrogant brat. As they run toward the sound, Chi-Yu clarifies he is not saving someone else, he is saving himself. They find a group of bullies kicking a kid on the ground, another trip down memory lane it seems. He recognizes this as a memory of being bullied, a trial he has to watch before facing his inner demon. Killen is absolutely furious, refusing to just stand by and watch him get beaten up even in a memory. She immediately throws a punch at one of the thugs, ready to rewrite history herself. But her fist phases right through the guy's chest, doing absolutely nothing. Stumbling forward, she realizes she is just a spectator here, unable to interact with his past. She grits her teeth, completely frustrated that she cannot stop the memory from playing out. Chi-Yu just calmly confirms it, basically telling her, yep, that is how this nightmare works. This only makes her angrier, her hair literally bursting into flames with pure, unadulterated rage. So she decides to just incinerate the entire memory, unleashing a massive wave of fire. This illusionary bully recoils in shock, somehow feeling the raw power of her mark. With a confident smile, Chi-Yu explains that this is their weakness, they are terrified of the mark's power. He explains that her mark's power can actually hurt these mental demons and shatter the memories. Hearing this, Killen gets a feral grin, cracking her knuckles and readying for a beatdown. She immediately puts it to the test, her fiery energy tearing right through the illusionary thugs. With a battle cry, she dives into the fray, determined to punch his trauma into oblivion. Her eyes are shut in concentration as she unleashes her full power on the memory. And just like that, the alley is gone, with her asking a very stunned Chi-Yu if he is okay now. Her sharp-toothed smile suggests she thoroughly enjoyed that little bit of therapeutic violence. But the trial is not over as a new memory starts, a girl punching a boy in a dark room. This boy stumbles back in shock, calling the girl Ching Chi, a name that seems to surprise him. This glowing girl just tells him to meet her outside, leaving a knife on the ground as she vanishes. Suddenly, his inner demon appears, picking up the knife with a twisted grin, declaring all high marks are evil. Chi-Yu can only whisper no, as he is forced to confront this new, bitter part of his past. This demon recalls how his current friends, all high marks, are the very type of people who ruined his life. He accuses Chi-Yu of betraying their past, forgetting how much they suffered at the hands of the privileged. In a tearful rage, he screams that all they ever wanted was a normal life, but their low marks made them targets. His memory paints the high marks as a horde of shadowy monsters who tormented them relentlessly. Standing amidst a sea of red despair, the demon declares their only option is to change this rotten world. But Chi-Yu counters, holding out a glowing orb and promising they will fix it together with their new comrades. Right on cue, a mysterious girl in a fancy red robe pops into existence, because why not? Chi-Yu's face is a perfect blank slate of shock. Another random person just crashed his therapy session. Our boy's brain just short-circuits, asking if this new arrival is an ally or a wife. Priorities are in order. This mysterious girl in red seems just as confused, admitting she has no idea why she is dressed like this. Her eyes flash with recognition as she whispers the name Yuan Yuan, which triggers a memory of a cheerful, blue-haired girl named Yuan Yuan making a heart sign. His inner demon tries to poison his mind, claiming his new friends are just using him. But Chi-Yu rejects that, choosing to trust his new ally as their hands clasp in a flash of light. And with newfound resolve, he declares they will use that trust to finally crush this inner demon.